So here we go with another Shadow PC game testing video. We're taking a look at Ghost Recon Breakpoint running on the Vulkan API at 1440p resolution on the very high graphics preset. Let's go ahead and bring up our Uplay launcher and get MSI Afterburner ready to go. Now I just want to show you that I am launching into the Vulkan API. Now here you can see I typically run about 15 to 25 on my latency with Shadow, typically 0 packet loss. I leave it on the automatic 50 megabits per second. It is at my 1440p 144 hertz because that's what my monitor is that I'm playing on. And I will be using my Xbox One S controller through my local PC to Shadow. So we're going to launch Ghost Recon Breakpoint here in the Vulkan API, and I'll jump us forward so that we will wind up here in the settings. So what we're going to do is go for the very high preset. It really isn't much point in going above that, especially with this build. If you want to go 60 FPS with this, you're going to need to probably drop down to the high preset, but I just wanted to show the performance at 1440p with 144 hertz panel, what the performance will be like. Of course, at 1080p, you're not going to have any problem running 60 and above with the very high preset, but at 1440p, it can be a little bit of a struggle. Now, you could manually change some settings here to gain that 60, or you could just drop down to the high, and I believe that would get you there at 1440p, but at 1080p, it shouldn't be an issue. So we're just going to kind of hop in here. We're going to deploy our bivouac and we're going to bring our helicopter out so we can just go fly over to a base. We're just going to do a quick land, blast a bunch of people, run around, and then we'll escape and come back to a new, unlock a new bivouac point, and just to show you a little bit of performance getting around the world. So what you'll see a lot in this game, and what you see in a lot of the Shadow PC test, is the CPU is usually what's getting hammered pretty good. Happens to me in battle a good bit too. Now the game didn't hitch up on me too much. It stayed fairly smooth, but the frame rate does take a hit, and I notice that usually when it's dipping down, those threads are all running 80, 90, maybe even 100%, which is causing some of those issues. All in all, though, you know, other than the weaker CPU on this build than I would like to have, runs all the games I've tested so far pretty well, and for most people it's going to do a good job because most people looking at this service probably can't really run anything on their PC. They're probably not running the kind of build I would be here locally anyway. So let's go ahead and get out here, get over to our helicopter. You'll see just in the open world here we're bouncing in the 50s and 60s. When we get into combat and you've got some NPC action and things going on where the CPU would be taking the hit for those, for figuring all that out, that's where we're going to dip down into the 40s. I think even with higher draw distance here, flying around is not going to dip us down. It's really when you get into combat. So we'll just go over here, grab up this magazine or whatever this blue drop was real quick, and take out a few people, do a little bit of combat, and you can check out the performance. Check out the numbers, see what this build is doing. This is the Shadow Boost package with the Quadro P5000 GPU and the Xeon E5-2678 4-core 8-thread processor. I'm not going to be tactical here or try to do too much. Like I said, I'm just going to land here, take some guys out for a little bit, grab that blue drop up, and then we're gonna fly out of here. And it just gives a general idea over 7-10 minutes of gameplay. I mean, obviously, depending on where you're playing, what's going on, you know, time of day, the amount of enemies, weapons you're using, everything's gonna affect anything you may have your Shadow PC doing at the time. It's gonna affect the performance. But this will give you a general idea what to expect at 1440p. And like I said, at 1080p, I wouldn't anticipate much problem at the very high preset playing 60 FPS. You can see here in combat, we even went down to 40 there. You know, just with the NPCs, you saw all the cores there jumping up into the 90s. So the CPU really struggling to keep up with everything and feed that, feed the GPU. You see the numbers way down on the GPU percentage. That's because the CPU is way too busy to feed it the information and to get the frames that you need. And that's what's going on there, and that's pretty typical what you'll see in this game. Every time you get into an area like this, you will drop down to that 40 range, and then when you're not in combat, you're going to maintain more of a 60, the 50s and 60s. So definitely with this build, with this CPU running at the very high preset at 1440p, this is just kind of what you get. You can definitely tweak the settings though, and get yourself a much closer, stable 60 FPS at 1440p if you want to. Now we'll grab our blue item and we'll get ready to be getting out of here pretty soon. We'll take out a few more guys. But yeah, right there, there was 6 threads in the high 90s right there for a little bit, and then you see all of them. I think I saw all 8 in the 90s when we really dropped down to 40. It's just really common for the Shadow Boost package. With the P5000 GPU they have on here, I really wish that they would have a beefier CPU running that GPU. I'm also not too fond of the next tier up that they have with the RTX 2080. I'm not convinced that 4-core 8-thread CPU they have paired with that RTX 2080 is really going to push it enough to be worth me upgrading to that tier. Honestly, I think I'll be sticking with Boost for a while until I see some CPU upgrades on all the tiers. But Shadow works extremely well, and for most people it's not going to be an issue. I'm just doing a ton of these Shadow gaming PC tests so that people kind of get an idea of what to expect in their games with this build. So as time goes on here, I'll be adding as many of these Shadow PC game testing videos as I can, so that maybe you can get an idea of what you're getting into before you get there. But you can see here, even flying away there, you know, with the usage on the CPU, our GPU is not getting taxed. It's not getting information as quickly as it would need to. So that's the only real holdback here. Some games are more CPU intensive than others. Some are going to have more trouble than others. You just saw that jump down to 41 and up to 60, and that stutter. That's part of the CPU issue right there. So that's really been my only complaint with the Shadow Boost, and maybe even the other tiers. I've not got to try them out, but I always prefer a CPU that is just a little bit more than you need to max out your GPU, so that you're not ever really running into that bottleneck issue. You know, when I'm doing a build, always make sure you're doing your own PC build that you balance it out. Don't just put all your money in the GPU, because you'll be wasting it. You're not going to get the use out of it. So alright guys, well thanks a lot for checking out this video. Just wanted to take a quick look at Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Again, we are running on Vulkan. This game runs less, probably at least 10 frames per second less on DirectX 11, so that's why I wanted to do it on Vulkan this time. So alright, thanks a lot for checking out the video. Subscribe if you haven't to the channel. Ring that bell so you get notifications when I drop a new video. Please feel free to leave your comment below if you're enjoying Shadow or thinking about signing up, and give the video a thumbs up if you would. It really helps out. Thanks a lot, have a good one, and I'll see you next time.